Couple of things before we get into this, Ian. First of all, if I start getting a bit rowdy or start crying or anywhere in between those two things, I've just been drinking this poor Connor, who got up this morning. Let me give him a shout out. Got up this morning to drag all of this studio gear, the entire all the way across Leeds at 6 o'clock in the morning. How awesome is Connor? Give him a shout out in the comments, everybody. Say, Connor, we love you. And he did that. And to see himself through, he bought himself a can of Red Bull. Good old energy drink. And then,
mate, you nicked it.
And then I nicked it and I drank it, which is turning out to be the worst decision ever. Because I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack. I have decaf coffee now. So like this is the first bit of caffeine in my body.
Dude, you are talking really fast. You couldn't even make it through the phrase panic attack.
Honestly, I'm like, I can feel it. I feel like it. Feeling a little edgy over it. A little edgy. Oh my
That's amazing.
Word.
You also have a very edgy bass on your lap.
I'm going to be talking about this edgy bass. You have an edgy bass. We're going to be talking about basses. You've been jet setting around the world. You've been hanging out with Mr. Danny Sapko. You've been, he's been trying to force beer onto you. How dare he? How dare he? We're going to get into that. You've been hanging out with the Gwiz.
Yeah, Mr. Gwizdala. Oh, I mean, just legend. It was so much, man. I was bummed I couldn't see you. I know we were right in the midst of getting this whole launch for Full Stack Bassist together.
Dude, I'm in your time zone. Oh yeah,
let's go.
We launched the Full Stack Bassist program. Right. Oh my word! So a bunch of stuff going on. What should we kick it off with? Let's do Full Stack Bassist at the top. Let's do that. Okay, people. If you do not know, we have just opened up the Full Stack Bassist, which is called the Full Stack Bassist 12-month intensive program. It's intense.
It is. It's intense.
It's a certificate program. We've just opened it for enrollment, and we'd love for you to go check it out. And it's basically, actually, you kick it off, Ian. I'm just going to message Lydia and get the URL as we're doing this.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm going to kick it off. No problem. Scott and I put together this program. We started putting it together a number of years ago. And then what happened was we started to put together this huge program and it felt too big. And we sort of shelved it at the time. Then when you were in hospital with your shoulder, you were like, I'm bringing it back. We're revamping it. You were like, this could be the last thing I ever do. You were like, I may never play. I may not make it out of this hospital. I mean, it sounds funny now, but at the time it was actually quite dire. I mean, you were in sort of like, hey, if this is the last thing I do, it needs to be the greatest thing that I do.
It was exactly that. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that I forgot that I brought the idea to you and Eric, didn't I? So I took the idea to Ian and Eric and they were like, too big. This is good. This is too big. This is too crazy of a project. So we kind of shelved it. And then, as you said, I went into hospital for my shoulder reconstruction. And while unsupervised in the hospital,
we're like, it was like dun dun. It was like gun 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 gun, like Godzilla coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
Gun, gun, gun,
yeah. But I was freaking out. I did actually freak out, and I thought, well, I wasn't sure. There was. I don't know for you guys that have had surgery on anything to do with your bass playing, any kind of like limbs that are like involve bass playing. I think that was my first surgery that could have had sort of like a dramatic impact on my playing. So I was like freaking out, and that recovery was long as well. Yeah. Like it was months long of recovery. So I was totally freaking out and thinking, oh, I might not be able to play again, or am I going to be able to teach again? So while I was having a slight breakdown, I brought this idea back, and as Ian was saying, I said, I was like, listen, I want to create this program that is kind of like if I could only ever create one program ever again, this is going to be it. And that's where the Full Stack Bassist was. It was launched out of slight panic.
And we took a look at what has been important to us in our careers as bass players, and tried to be really very realistic about the things that haven't been that important.
Yeah.
And tried to create a program that really takes you on a year-long journey that addresses the things that we feel are the most important things, aimed at being able to understand how to play this instrument and really be a creative force, being able to understand how to create your own bass lines, how to, look at and interpret the bass lines that you know.
Yeah.
And then with that information, create your own valuable assets as bass lines. And that was sort of the crux of this whole thing, right? Of like, how do you create great sounding grooves, great sounding bass lines? And it turns out it's not super simple, but there are so many things that can get in the way of that, right? Like a zillion YouTube videos. We've talked about that, watching, taking things out of order, trying to learn all the modes of melodic and harmonic minor before anything else, right? Like all of that stuff that we do, crazy slap techniques, all that stuff just gets in the way of your progress of being a really solid full stack bassist. Ding! Just, try to get a little in there.
Exactly that. And ultimately, well, there's a couple of interesting things as well that happen. And one, that when we were talking about this and planning out the program, we had to ask ourselves, well, who is this for, right? Like what's this program? What we're trying to do? What's the end goal? We're trying to create this full stack basis, but where are we trying to get people in their journey? And I've actually got a list here. And if some of these resonate with you, you should absolutely check out the full stack basis, because it's really aimed at people around that high beginner to intermediate level. So if you feel like you feel behind and especially, so I'm going to say this and you might be like, okay, so you feel behind, especially considering how long you've been playing. And I'll come back to that in a minute. You've been putting off learning theory for way too long, or you learn songs but you rarely finish them, and you don't really know what you're doing when you're playing. You know what I mean? You feel like you're bluffing all the time. You can jam a bit, but you can only pick it up by sort of like learning the song in pieces. Your playing sounds pretty sloppy. Let's be honest. I've been there as well. You can't play what's actually in your head. So you've got this idea in your head, but you actually can't execute on the instrument. Your practicing feels way inefficient. And then this is the kicker. The big one is, and you kind of just sound a little inexperienced. So if any of those sound or resonate, sound like you or resonate with you, you should absolutely check it out. Lydia did send me through the URL. It's just fullstackbassist.com. And it's really, as Ian was saying, it's a 12-month transformation program to take you where you are right now and, transform you to a full stack bass player, but more than that, a full stack musician. So you get a full curriculum, all based on bassline creation and grooves and time feel and all of those really important things. But there's also a almost separate curriculum called the Pro Skills Workshops, which are all focused on the off the fretboard stuff that people don't really focus on, but are freaking important. And every pro bass player has got them down, like ear training, like, understanding diatonic harmony and how all of the chords work together, all of that stuff, how to dial in your tone, how to chart songs out, not notation, not reading notation, actually how to chart them out like a session musician would do in the studio, how to learn songs really fast and understand all that whole process. So it's more like a really robust college curriculum, to be honest. And I think it's pretty much the best thing that we've ever created. It's absolutely the most broad and in-depth thing. So if you've taken any of our accelerators before, the accelerators are like super laser focused. The fretboard accelerator, right? It's just on the fretboard. The slap accelerator, I wonder what that's about. The technique accelerator, right? These are really, really sort of like super. They've got like a laser focus about them, whereas the full stack bassist is a broad course that covers everything that we feel you really need to understand, get under your belt, and most importantly, get on the fingerboard and be able to execute it to be a really well-rounded bass player, like a bass player's bass player. So that's what we set out to do with this program. We opened it for enrollment in, I think, in October or November. in 2024, and it was just an absolute stonking success. We've just had some crazy testimonials, and we've
saw those.
they're incredible, aren't they?
They are.
And we've just opened it up for the 2025 cohort. So this is the only time we're opening it up for enrollment this year. Normally when we open like the Fretboard Accelerator or the Technique Accelerator, things like that, we generally open for 14 days. This one is only open, the enrollment period is 7 days. So you've got 7 days to enroll, but that won't be 7 days when you hear this podcast, because this podcast is not going out right now. We're recording this on Monday. We're shutting this down on Sunday. So whenever you hear this, it will be closing on Sunday at midnight. I really recommend you go check it out. Again, it's just fullstackbassist.com. And it also has a completely mind-boggling guarantee as well. So you can go through the entire program, and if it doesn't completely rock your world in every single way, I will give you a full refund after you've been through the program. So it's a year-long program. It also has a year-long guarantee. So there's basically no risk.
Right.
Okay? The risk is that you just wait. The risk is that you kind of sit on your hands and you're just like, I'll just do what I've been doing for the last few years, and hopefully it'll get better. You know what I mean? So if you do really want to level up your bass playing, absolutely check it out at fullstackbassist.com. I'll also put a link down in the description. It's a really, really incredible program. Oh, and so I forgot one last thing as well. It really isn't like an online self-study course where you're going to be just doing all of this on your own. We also, as part of the course, like twice a week, we have guided practice sessions. So all of the students get together and have these guided practice sessions where, they're all sitting together, all practicing together. And we've got some incredible tutors as well that run those classes. It's just an absolutely banger course. It really is.
Yes.
And
I have to, can I just add one thing too?
Yeah, man.
Whenever I do a clinic, I talk about two things to me that I call deal breakers, that are like musical foundations that I feel like people don't talk about enough. And people talk about them, but sometimes bass players don't. Number one is pitch matching, where like literally the foundation of like you hear a pitch and then you can either sing it da or match it on your bass, find it. What is that? Oh, it's a C. That skill, and then understanding then what an interval is, bom da, understanding that that's a fifth. That skill is so critical. And there's a whole pro skills workshop on that I lead. And I was so happy to be able to put that into SPL because it's critical. It's so critical.
Yeah, it's massive.
It's everything. Yeah. Right? How you transcribe a song, how you learn something by ear really involves that skill. It's a deal breaker. Number two for me is rhythms and understanding syncopation. And there's 2 entire modules on understanding syncopation, thinking about how to play with a drummer, really breaking down the straight grid, 16th notes, swing grid in 16th notes. And if you understand those 2 things, it underpins pitch matching, rhythm. It underpins everything you play. And you're like, we've talked about seeing the Matrix before. I mean, this is an old reference now. But, dude, we were born in 78, the greatest year ever. It's all good.
Freaking
but
right,
you
dude.
see, the bullets coming, right? And you can just get out of the way or pick them out. Or if you have that underpinning, and of course there's technique, functional harmony theory as well. But I was so pleased that we got to talk about those 2 things for me, which I feel like are kind of slip under the radar in some education models.
Yeah. It's absolutely. Like it's just absolutely jam packed, and it's without a doubt the most robust bass curriculum ever created for something like this, for a program. I was saying to Ian last week, I was like, I wish there was kind of something like this out there so we could point to it and be like, oh, it's this kind of thing, but it's like that, but it's our thing. But there isn't anything out. We really set out to do something that nobody else has done. In my mild panic about my shoulder reconstruction. The one program to rule them all. But it's really, again, just before we close this up, it's really to combat this fragmented learning that's so kind of, it's like a bit of a wildfire right now in online learning. It's so easy to just feel like you're sat in front of a jigsaw, a pile of jigsaw pieces, and you're there trying to put all of these things together, and just think that the jigsaw pieces right here are all of the little things that you've learned on the internet, from my YouTube videos, from other people's YouTube videos, you've read from books, you've read on forums. So you've got this massive pile of jigsaw pieces in front of you, but the reality is that you've got no box lid, so you can't see what the actual picture looks like to put it together. So it's an impossible task. And also you don't know what order to put them together in as well, because sequencing, the order that you work on things and learn things is, nearly dropped an F-bomb, freaking huge. It's actually not talked about enough. The sequencing, there's so many people focusing on the right thing at the wrong time, and it can completely screw you over. You've all been told the modes are really important, right? You've all been told that this thing over here is important, so you go learn it. But if you're learning it at the wrong time for you right now, what you actually get is almost like it's almost like your progress goes into reverse, because you're focused on the completely wrong thing. So then you're like, well, I've learned this thing, I can't apply it. Like, you feel worse, your ego takes a hit, like all of that, your confidence takes a hit, and you can actually sort of like regress in your progress moving forward. So with the Full Stack Bassist, it really focuses on the sequencing of things. So it's introducing you to the right concepts at the right time. And then also we've got assignments to make sure that once you've learned a concept, you then have to apply it to a musical, like a real musical project, before you move on to the next section, because otherwise you're just going to be sitting there eating content like you eat burgers at McDonald's. You know what I mean? It's just sort of just content. I'm just going to watch all of this content. I'm not going to apply any of it, right? Yeah. So we've got really key things in the program to stop you doing that. So you're really learning this shit. So if you give two shits about your bass playing, and you actually really hand on heart do want to increase your level of musicianship and your bass playing, okay, go check it out, fullstackbassist.com. It's open one time this year, closes this Sunday coming, and we'd love for you to be a part of it if you want to come and be along. That's my pitch on you. That's my pitch. Go check it out. It's a freaking awesome course.
It is.
Yeah. You can get out of that the 2 to 3 year flatline.
Yeah, right. For sure. Yeah. The dreaded flatline.
The dreaded flatline. Yeah. That's that when you get to year 2 or 3, basically. I didn't talk about it. I'll just say this and then we can move on. There's a weird sort of like a point in most people's learning like journey. And when they start their first year, right, it goes pretty swell. Goes pretty fast. Yeah. Because you're picking up all of this stuff really quick, right? And you're learning songs and stuff like that. Then it gets to year 2 and then it's slowing down. And then for many bass players after year 2 and then between 2 and 3, it just freaking flatlines. And you just end up on this plateau until the end of time, which is why the reality is there are players that have been playing for 40 years and they haven't got any better. Like it's outrageous, actually. But that does happen a lot. We've had like our students last year, like there's so many testimonials. This one guy, I don't know where my phone is. This one guy, if you go to fullstackbassist.com, you'll see it. One guy, I'll paraphrase it, but he was like, I can't even believe this program exists. I've been playing the same for 30 years. Yeah. This fixed me. Yeah, it's freaking cool. So fullstackbassist.com, go check it out. Now, should we talk about basses or should we talk about the Gwizdala? Or do you know that Janek had a podcast? Check this out. Janek had a podcast before I knew what a podcast was.
I believe that.
I used to. I can remember going to like him on his. He doesn't get enough credit because there's not enough freaking old bass players like me and you that were around back then. He doesn't get enough credit for like he was like one of the first to really use all of these tools. Yes. Like he was absolutely at the first bass podcast. Absolutely had because it was before anybody was listening to podcasts. And I can remember he kept on talking about this podcast thing. And every time I hear him mention it, I was like, what is a podcast? I went to Google and I was researching what is a podcast. and either I was stupid, very possible, or Google just had a shit explanation because I'd read it. I was like, still doesn't make any sense. What is a podcast? So yeah,
that's crazy.
And he was, I think it was called Gizmon or something like that, and it was on a piece of technology called Podbean, I think. Something like that.
I remember Podbean.
Can you remember that? Yeah, Podbean,
I can. Yeah. Yes.
And it was, it was awesome. So shout out to the Gwiz,
man. Yeah, I just spent a bunch of time with him. We went over to Thomann in Germany, in Treppendorf, Germany. Scott, have you ever been there?
Treppendorf. I haven't. I've been to I've been to Frankfurt. Ian flew into Frankfurt. By the way, shout out to Sharon and Ian right now. They're going to be doing a travel podcast. Do not travel with your bass until you've listened to the pod that's coming maybe next week, but definitely over the next few weeks. About traveling with your bass.
We get asked all about it. I get asked all the time. On my Instagram, I'm always talking about traveling with the bass, and people have so many questions. So I'm going to do my best to answer all that. But so that's coming. But yeah, Janek and I flew to Frankfurt, and then we went to Treppendorf, Germany. Shout out to Stefan, who put this all together, and Benno, who was Janek's friend, who went to Berkeley with him back in the day. Great drummer who came along and filmed a bunch of stuff. It was awesome. But Treppendorf is literally like, it's like a company town. It's a small village.
Oh, is it where Thomann is?
Yes, it's where Thomann is. Thomann Music.
Are all the streets named now after musicians and shit?
Maybe. I didn't notice that, but it's super, like, I imagined that it was going to be maybe the size of Fort Wayne, where Sweetwater is. Yeah. Fort Wayne, Indiana is where Sweetwater is. If you've ever been there, it's like I don't know the size of it, but it doesn't feel like, it feels like a decent sized town in America.
Yeah.
That's very vague.
Is Treppendorf like tiny?
Yes, it felt tiny to me. I mean, we didn't see the whole thing, but it felt very small and centered around Thomann music. And Hans came out, Thomann, and hung out and like ate lunch with us. And
nice.
It was just amazing. We did a clinic specifically.
Is he the son? Was it his dad?
I don't know.
Let us know in the chat, people. I think it was like in the family. I could be completely wrong, but I think that it was his dad.
Maybe could be,
but but maybe not. It also might not be.
It was wild to be there. We did a clinic for line 6, Janek and I together, and I mean that's sort of a weird. People would hit me on Instagram and be like, "Man, for real?" It's like the meat-fisted like rock pop music guy, and then the monster, furious licks, incredible compositions fusion guy. Like, how's this gonna work? Yeah,
he won't like us calling him a fusion guy, but Janek,
jazz guy.
Listen, I actually just hot take. I think that I'm going to brand myself fusion bass player. I was like, there's this awesome guy on Instagram called Danny. Anyway, and I noticed he kind of sort of like low key branded himself fusion. He was like, I'm a fusion guitar player, and I was like, man, I like this guy. Just for like, I'm just no shit. I'm a fusion guy, and I was like, maybe I'm a fusion bass player, because actually that's actually what I am. So Janek, maybe we should just be fusion bass players.
Well, it's funny because whenever we dive into a different style or a video or technique, you always say to me, whatever it is, you're like let's say we do a whole video on just like grindy rock with a pick. You're like, I'm only gonna play with a pick from now on. This is all I do. Or we do a slap thing. We did the slap accelerator. Scott looks over at me as we're filming, sweat rolling down because it was hot. Remember, in the studio, and you were like, and like with seriousness said, I think I might only slap the bass from now on. So I was careful with this fusion branding.
Dude, I'm in. I'm a fusion bass player. Everybody that thinks I should do this in the comments, just write fusion bass. That's all I want from you. I was telling you about the full stack program. This is more important than that.
Yeah.
Just write fusion bass in the comments, please.
I will say with Janek, the reason it works is because I am this kind of bass player. I want to play this kind of thing. you know, and if I play this thing, oh, guess what, man? It gives a lot of space for somebody else to interpret.
Yeah.
And so it was really fun, man. We played together. He played some of his stuff. He did some of the looping stuff that he does. I talked about how I use the HX Stomp with all the projects that I do. That was awesome.
And what was the vibe?
Really
Did you play together as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, we came out and played together first.
And
I just started something, one note, and we improvised.
Was it just like an improv thing? So you just went for it? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And it was great because I could change the bottom, you know, so I could essentially sort of make a composition go into a B section.
Yeah.
And Janek, you know, of course, huge ears and musicianship could just navigate that so easily. Then we locked up on a few things. He then took the bottom and I got to play a little on top, which was so fun. And we have such different styles of how we would, quote unquote, solo. I'm just thinking about simple melody. And I think presumably he is too. But the way it comes out is just very different. Right.
Isn't it awesome?
And it was cool, man. What's that?
Isn't it awesome?
It is awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome, isn't it? Yeah.
And like when you and I have played together too, it's so cool. Like playing with another bass player, especially if the bass player you're playing with is musically sensitive, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, is you can't have two players together that both want to do the same thing at the same time, kind of. You know, you have to have the give and take of like.
Well, I think it makes it more musical, doesn't it?
Of course.
If there's opposing approaches, it makes it slightly more musical. Whereas if you've got two guys that have the same approach, it can. Well, I guess like if you had two guys kind of with a pretty mellow and just wanted to sit and like play kind of groovy thing, somebody needs to actually step up and do the sort of like the chord stuff and the melody stuff and all of that. So, but then if you get two guys that only do the you know, the sort of like the
flashy bits,
the flashy bits, but like the more kind of, you know, like chords and messing around with the harmony and stuff like that, it can sometimes get a little frenetic, but you know, but it's but man, I still love them NAMM videos from 2008 when them guys are doing that.
Yeah, man, it's cool. I think it was just we're very different in a lot of ways, and we're similar in a lot of ways. And then when people would ask questions, it was cool because he specifically said to me, "I want to do this with you because I think we have different takes on what's happening in music right now, social media, how we play, the types of artists that we're drawn to." He said, we're different. And I think we can respectfully disagree and talk about that. And that's what happened. I mean, you know, like someone would ask a question, and if Janek would answer it first, he'd get near the end of his point and I'd say, or? And then I'd have my take. And that happened the other way too. I'd say, you know, and he'd say, let me play devil's advocate to Ian. And, you know, and it was really cool. Yeah. So we did Thomann, and shout out to the crew there. It was amazing. And then we had travel drama that I'll talk about in the Sharon podcast. But then we went to London and did sort of the Makeup Bass Day Europe clinic, where it wasn't specifically 4 Line 6. It was just Janek and I in a room packed at Vortex, full of bass players, and did a similar thing, but it ended up taking different turns. We took a lot of questions, and guess who was there? Scott Devine.
Was he wielding a John Smith bitter?
He may have been. He may have been. Mr. Danny Sapko himself, man. It was great. Yeah.
You told me last week, you said you gave him a hug that basically like squeezed the life out of him. Listen,
man, I am a hugger, okay? Right? And I'm trying, like, over COVID, no one's hugging, okay? And then I'm like, oh yeah, maybe not everybody's a hugger. Like, so I'm realizing, oh, maybe this isn't always. But there are certain people, I don't know, man. I mean, even though he's hit us hard, you know, like he takes the piss, as you say, there was just this moment, man, I saw him and I felt warmth. Like, so he was in the clinic and he asked a funny question of like, hey, you and Janek, he told us, what I want you to do is take your bass and flip it this way, and who can play the coolest thing?
Who Danny
we were
said
like,
this to you guys.
Yes. And so Janek and I did this, dude, and I played some stupid thing I tried, and Janek did the cool thing. Janek is a competitive guy, tennis.
Oh,
right?
he's a freak show. Yeah, in the greatest
Janek
way.
wants to win. Right? Like Janek wants to win. Not like necessarily always in music, but if there's like a challenge, Janek is sports mode, dude.
Oh, dude, if there's an actual like old school war, you know what I mean? And like people are running around the street shooting each other and stuff like that. I'd want to be on Janek's team.
Me too.
Because he's going to be like a ninja.
He flipped his bass over, put it on his lap. I was like, oh, thanks a lot, Gwiz. He turns on a sick reverb and plays a beautiful melody with the bass on his lap.
Meanwhile, you're going like,
and I'm going like, I'm trying to play, like My Sharona like an asshole. just so bad, dude. But that was funny, man. That was funny. And then we got done. Janek had to run because he had to catch a flight, and then he had crazy travel drama. But he actually went, Scott, and recorded a record with Daniele Carmado.
No, shit.
Yes, he did. And am I saying that guy's last name correctly? How do you say it?
Daniela Kamada, I think. Oh,
Kamada.
He's outrageous.
Yes. Janek said, too, he hit me up about it and said it was like one of the coolest. It's like one of the most musical people, regardless, bass player, non-bass player, whatever, that he's ever played with.
Outrageous.
Yeah. They did a duo record together. How cool is that? Yeah.
Oh,
so
I can't wait
he
to
went
listen to
on
that.
to do that.
Yeah.
And I hung out with everyone that came to that clinic for freaking 3 hours outside the venue.
So what was Danny like though?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I see Danny, and I came up to him and I couldn't stand it. And I just grabbed him.
Bear hugged him.
And I am bigger and taller than anybody realizes. Like I'm 6'3", I'm probably 250. I come up and I see this guy. He is not 6'3" and not 250, right?
How tall is he?
I don't know. But he's not 6 feet tall, I don't know. Danny Sapko, how tall are you? I don't know, maybe 5'8".
Are you, Dan? Oh, 5'8".
Maybe, but he also
5'8".
has boots. He's got boots and spikes and right the
Yeah,
vibe. And
yeah.
I just came up and I don't know, man, for whatever reason, I was just like, dude, and I just hugged this guy. And when I hug, sometimes, man, I'm fine. I go in,
If he's taller
Sometimes
than
it's
you,
a little...
he's right in the chest, isn't it? Did you stroke?
Yeah, man.
As you hugged, did you like give a little stroke down, like a gentle?
I don't think so. I don't think there was any inappropriate touching.
A caress.
But I will say that sometimes, in a dude hug, there's a little bit of scruff on scruff action.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
a little,
yeah.
like maybe a beard touches.
Yeah.
Right? I'm fine with that. I think that's fine. But it was interesting, man. I hugged Danny, and Danny was like, oh, in his mind, he's like, oh, I see what's happening. This dude's a hugger. But then, like when someone lets go of the hug before you do?
And you weren't letting go. Oh, I love these awkward hug moments. They're
Dude,
awesome,
it was
aren't
great.
they? Yeah.
So Danny, sorry, man. Maybe I have more affection for you than you have for me. I don't know how it works, but it was great. We chatted, and then he's like, "Oh, I have something for you," and I was like, "Amazing!" I thought maybe it was going to be a bass shirt or hat or maybe a pick. I would have loved a pick. And actually, he actually did send me a hat a while ago. My wife wears it all the time. She took it from me immediately. And she's like, "I'm gonna wear this hat." But he pulled out what's the beer? What
John
is it?
Smith's.
John Smith's.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then he's like, oh, do you drink beer? And I said, oh, I actually don't, but cool, man. And he's like, oh, then I'll have that back, And he's like, gave it to someone who could appreciate it. But hey, Mr. Sapko, I appreciate the gesture. It's always nice to be asked, dude.
Beautiful. Is his accent as strong in real life as it is in the video? Is it?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah. But we stood there, had a nice chat, and then I think he brought a bunch of the folks that were there out to a pub, and I was going to try to connect up with them. It didn't happen, but
he literally
Danny's
lives
the
down
dude,
the
man.
canal from me. I think he lives in, like, I'm sure that he lives, what's the place called? Begins with a B. B, not Baildon. Oh, it's just up the canal. Do you know, you've been my place, right? So like
Of course,
in the
yeah.
woods, there's a canal at the bottom of the woods. If you get on that canal, it's called the Leeds to Liverpool Canal, and you wander along, I think that you'll get to Danny's town. It's like probably less than 5 miles up the road. Yeah. Because frickin' Yorkshire's doing it for the bass people. Come on.
I know. It's amazing. And I love that. I love the no pulled punches. It was great. Although, you got to work on your hug game, Danny. Come on.
Does he need to up it?
Yeah, man. Stay in the embrace. It's all good.
Stay in the embrace. Lean in, Danny. Lean in. If you really want to get you can even lift your leg up at the back. Oh. Freaking, I was talking to Lisa, my wife, the other day. She was mortified. She came home. She'd either picked up or dropped off one of our kids. They go to a school over. They go to this hippie school. It's kind of, I call it a hippie school, right? They go to this hippie school over in Hebden, and they're either dropping. She's either dropping one of the kids off or picking them up. Anyhow, she's talking to one of the mums, and she's never talked to her before. And the mum's sort of doing this, and at some point, I've got no idea what Lisa was thinking. And by the way, she said the other mum did this, and opened her arms like this, and Lisa thought, oh, she wants to hug. So Lisa leans in and hugs her, and then realizes the woman's arms are still open like this, and she didn't even want to hug. She just accidentally embraced.
Dude, listen. Lisa, I know that deal. I grew up in a family of huggers where if you came home from school, if you were just even apart for 45 minutes, when you reconvened, you hugged each other.
Yeah.
That's how I grew up.
Yeah, me too.
And I
didn't grow up like that, but I'm creating that environment for our kids.
It's cool. I think that's cool, but I it took me a while to realize, oh, not everybody's like that. And apparently at 46, I'm still struggling with not every Yorkshire bass player wants to embrace for 9 seconds.
Maybe it's a little too long. Yeah, maybe it's a little too long. Should we talk about these beasts, dude? That bass has been hiding in your place for a while, hasn't it? By the way, I tried to buy a bass this morning. I tried to buy it on Saturday. Come on. And then I put in my bid on Reverb or whatever it's called. Yeah, is it a bid or whatever? You put in your how much you're willing to pay.
Like an offer? Yeah.
Yeah, you put in an offer, and then it expired. And I was like, bummer. And then Monday morning, I was like, well, put in another one. Put in one, and then message comes in from Reverb. I was like, ooh, amazing. I click on it. Offer declined. I was like, oh. And then it said, instrument no longer available.
Oh, that hurts. What was it?
Oh,
Can you say?
It was another Willis fretless. I'm having withdrawal. I gave my one away a year ago, and I'm having real withdrawal. I've got a gig coming up this Wednesday, and I was like, oh, I could just take a little Willis fretless out for a ride.
Okay, hold up. I love this so much because not but a week ago, before I went out and on these adventures, you were like, I have too many basses. And I'm like, yeah. You're like, I'm going to do the biggest cull. I'm going to go through and do the biggest.
It's coming.
So many of them. Yeah. And then that's a new one on your lap right now.
Wait, it's not. It's a...
Yes, it is.
It's kind of new. I think, have I not used this in a video before? No.
I don't. We've never talked about it before. Maybe you did on something you did without me.
Let me look.
Blasphemy.
I think I've had this.
Does that have freaking 6 strings? You big
nerd. No.
Oh, it's 5.
It's 5, dude. It's 5. So I've had this for 6 months. It's It's basically a Music Man Stingray in a serious shell suit. Basically, it's one pickup. And what I will say is do you when you look at you're like, I'm not sure that's a Music Man Stingray.
Know, dude.
Well, it's I'll tell you what it is, dude. It's a fusion Music Man Stingray.
Yeah, okay. I'll let that slide.
Fusion players. But it's I've had it for 6 months now. It's got a beautiful neck, and
what is it?
It's
What's the brand?
A Miura. Is that how you pronounce it? Miura.
I don't know.
Miura. Miura. They do pedals. So the guy, do you know Exotic Basses?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to butcher this, but the guy who started Exotic Basses was Mr. Miura. And he left Exotic and he started Miura Basses. So there's even like Exotic Basses with this headstock, like older ones.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
look at the
crazy.
headstock's cool, isn't it? It's like
I mean,
I love it, dude. It's like a weapon. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like,
it is.
not that type of weapon, dude. No.
I mean,
I was more like a Viking weapon, like a
like a spear,
like a spear,
the tip of a spear. Yeah.
exactly. Tip of the spear, and and I got it like 6 months ago, and it's basically got one pickup. It's got a Delano, it's like a humbucker, which looks wacky, doesn't it?
Yeah, the oval. It reminds me of the old Lakeland Bridge.
Oh, I love the Lakeland.
I do too, actually. Yeah,
I really like them. Yeah,
that's cool.
And so it's got this Music Man style. Well, it's not a Music Man style pickup, but it's in the Music Man placement.
Right.
And then it's got this. It's got a lot. It's got a lot going on down here. I was trying to figure out earlier what everything did, because every time I pick it up, it kind of freaks me out. And the electronics part of it, the circuitry, because I'm not exactly sure what everything does. I think I've figured it out now, though. And it's got a beautiful neck.
Tell me why. Tell me why. Not,
why?
This is just an
Why
honest
did
question.
I got
Not
a
like
great deal on it.
Okay.
And so two reasons. Number one, Derek Hodge was just pissing me off. Every time I saw him play, he was playing his Miura. He's got this bass.
Got it.
And he just sounded so incredible. I was like, God!
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I'm going to have to get one of them basses. So he wasn't pissing me off. He was actually inspiring me.
Yeah.
But just shout out to Derek Hodge. That guy is so incredible. Like,
Can play the bass. Yeah.
he can really play the bass. Like,
Yes.
he is a freak show in all of the best ways.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was like watching Derek do his thing. I think we've released something actually on the channel recently with Derek playing. In fact, maybe just a few days ago. And
I haven't seen that yet.
maybe it's coming out. It's like a full interview with Derek, yeah. And I was watching him, and it was just incredible. And I was like, oh, it just sounded really interesting. And I've often watched Music Man, like videos of people playing music. I'm sure that you've had the same thing. And they just sound great. And I was watching Derek play, and I was like, well, that's like a fusion Music Man. And I was like, and I'm a fusion player. Maybe I should try that fusion Music Man.
Yeah, right.
So I got it, and I got it for a great price and stuff like that. So, and it sounds great. It's got...
Show us.
On the circuit. So this is the volume.
Ooh, yeah,
Then you've got right there, which I love, you've got a tone control. Right there. Because I use
passive
that.
tone?
Yeah, passive tone, yeah. So you go.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
Bit of a fusion chord there.
Boy.
So you've got the tone control, then you've got bass, stacked bass and treble.
Okay.
Then you've got these things going on here. So this is your mid selector, but then you can
like a frequency selector.
You can alter the frequency through this one here.
Got it.
So you've got mid, and then your mid selector there. And I've got everything in the middle right now, so that's not affecting it. So all you're hearing actually is just everything. Yeah, everything's kind of just
in the
like
middle.
flat, right? And then here you can have the all on, and then you can have it in. So that's parallel, series, and then single coil for the
for the pickup.
For the pickup, yeah. So you've got the single coil, I think, and then. Oh, whoa.
So that would be series. That last
that's
one, the
series,
first one, parallel.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's cool, man. It's cool. I need to drop the. I need to tighten up the truss rod a little bit because it's gone a bit.
It's meaty action.
It's come from Los
thing.
Angeles, and the weather's just completely. Yeah, it's just sort of like it was like really kind of low when it came, but just with the with the crap weather over here, It just needs to. I need to tighten up the truss rod a bit. But it's really, really nice. I haven't gigged it yet. It's like a decent, like I would say, 8-point. God, isn't it? Just that shows you how when you've been playing bass a long time, you can be like, I feel like a butcher.
Probably.
I imagine like a butcher or somebody like handles like they pick up a bag of like a carcass. Something like, oh, this is, you know what I mean? Like this is 9 pounds, or like a potato person. Like this is a 10-pound bag of potatoes. I can tell you that this is probably about 8.5 to 8.8 pounds.
I am so bad with that, actually. Like,
oh, really?
I'm always like, oh, this is probably, I'm like a pound off all the time.
Oh, no,
you know who else is killer at that is Spencer Lull. He can hold a bass and he can get within like 0.1 of what it actually is. It's crazy. He's so good at it. And
just
I'm like guessing and from over and over and over and weighing them and kind of going, oh, that's what 8.8 feels like, or, you know. But I'm terrible at that. Oh, terrible.
And listen, if you want to hear one of these in action, you don't want to listen to me. You want to go listen to Derek Hodge playing at the Blue Note. So he's got Blue One or Bluey Green. Go check out that gig. It's just somebody sat in the Blue Note with a phone. It is just incredible. It's like an hour long, I think. It's his own band, and it just sounds just great. It's just, they do a great tune called Fall by Wayne Shorter, and he just has this, it's just like, I don't know who the drummer is, but it's just sad. Just
mean.
It's glorious.
Oh, I love it.
You know what? Do you know what's interesting about these one pickup basses? That I dig it. I really dig it. Like when I play it, I'm just like, because I feel really at home on, on F basses. That's kind of like my home sort of like, what's it called? Home bass. I would love an F bass with just one pickup. Just like, because I like the sound. I'm like, it never sounds like what I think it's going to sound like. It never sounds like a jazz bass with a bridge pickup. It doesn't sound like that. I can remember when I first saw a Music Man, I thought, ooh, that's going to sound like just really pokey, but it doesn't sound like that.
You're right.
It's broader, yeah.
But dude, bro, you would miss that neck pickup vibe.
I would. But like, the reality is that now, like, I'm a fusion bass player. There's only one way, dude. It's bridge pickup and tone all the way off. Let's go.
You're funny, man. That is great. What do you mean? Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about this bass. So I have, the guys from G&L made this for me and surprised me with it at NAMM. And we did a podcast, Sharon and I, got to interview Steve Arajo, who works at G&L. And Steve, shout out to Steve. Like, Steve's the coolest, man. He used to do that thing way long ago. It was like bass hang. Yes.
Yeah.
Was that on YouTube or was that on his own site? Yeah.
It was on the Tube.
Long ago, and I watched a bunch of those, and he's a gear guy, great player. And when Sharon and I talked to him, I told him that, like, my favorite G&L design of all time was the ASAT, and that's what this is. It probably stands for something. Do you know what it stands for? Maybe like asymmetrical.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know what it stands for.
They look great though. Ginormous telly.
Exactly. And and it's cool because it's Leo Fender, right? It's like it was Leo's last company. And to me, this is cool because it goes back to that first design that Leo ever did, which was the telly, or like Esquire.
Yeah.
And so
is it passive?
Always no. I had to look like no, there's a battery in there.
Got it.
I do believe I should know. Is it passive? Let's see if I Oh yeah, it's active. It makes the huge boom when you unplug it. Oh, and did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the battery doing something. So yeah, it's active. So this, check it out. 3 sounds, I feel like. This is sort of its like jazz bass sound. Neck pickup. It's kind of cool. Bridge. Really super snarly bridge.
Woo, that's some fusion shit right there. I'm like a dog with a bone.
Oh, I cannot compete in fusion bassland. But yeah, man, it's pretty cool. And then it has essentially like a treble control that feels like it affects mostly like the upper mid-range, not the like tip-top treble thing. And then a bass control. And there's series parallel, and there's, I believe, sort of like a mid or treble boost in the preamp as well. But I'm kind of leaving it. I'm leaving it in like parallel pickup mode, I believe, and then just using the pickup selector. So again, neck, both, bridge. And it's very like mid forward. The pickups have like a nose to them. And sometimes for me, that sort of mid focus, when I'm alone playing the bass, I sometimes am like, ooh, I want it to be less mid-rangey than that. Yeah. But in a track,
it sounds incredible. I have that with the Smith. I have that with the Smith. You'll get this sort of like, it's got this like nose to it. Yeah. Like but then in the track, it sounds mega. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. They did also, this is a Wenge fingerboard with no dots, slinky, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's hard to see, but this is like tortoise binding. It's like if you get it in the right light, it sort of looks like black binding, but it's tortoise binding. Yeah. Quarter sawn maple neck.
You better get this right, dude, because remember last time you talked about G&L in the video? You got spanked. Remember?
I mean... Yeah, was it the interview we did with Steve? Was it that particular?
I can remember people were like, no.
Like, did I get some stuff wrong? I mean, the thing that I said. If you got anything
wrong, I think that like people that love G&L really love G&L.
Yes, it's really true. And I had we asked the question, why isn't this brand, of course, Fender, the ubiquitous, Leo Fender brand, of course, but then Music Man as well, that sold to Ernie Ball, but Music Man was his second brand. And G&L, like the G&L brand, I feel like has sort of struggled to have a lot of players that there aren't a ton of artists, especially in bass world.
They need more, don't they? What's that great guy, Dan?
Lutz?
Yeah, Dan Lutz. Yeah,
Dan Lutz is amazing.
He kills it. I wish they get Dan and just like make him the guy. Yeah, make him the G&L guy. Do you know what I mean? Like they should make him the G&L guy because he plays great. I don't think there's any time I've listened to Dan play and not thought, God, that sounds good. He sounds like a grown up. You know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean.
When I listen to him play, I'm like, oh, he sounds. He
was out for a long time with Bublé, I think, Michael Bublé, and recently he did. I think he filled in with Alanis Morissette. He's just one of those like L.A. killers. Yeah. That's out there playing the cool gigs, kind of chill, right? But he actually does cool stuff on social media as well. Yeah, G&L, get Dan out there on some posters, huh?
Get Dan, stick him on some posters. I love Dan. We need some more bald men out there. You know what I mean?
I think too, in that G&L content, I said something about it. Like I always sort of felt like it being like a dad brand, kind of like when I grew up, I was like, I never thought G&L was cool. It just felt as a kid, I was like, it's kind of, it was sort of all sunburst and honey colored, and, you know what I'm talking about? And as time has gone by, I've like, this is actually, they're really interesting and they're their own thing. But I think they are dealing with some of that as a brand. And I even made a comment of like, I don't love the headstock shape, but it's interesting. After having this, I'm coming around.
I don't trust you with headstocks, dude.
You don't?
No, you don't like a Lever Capolo? Exactly right.
Like grandma's swollen foot.
Yeah, but dude, grandma's awesome. And it's like, look, right? There is something to be said about being ugly and proud about it. And I think that's what, them Lever Capolo headstocks are freaking awesome. They're ugly and proud about it.
I know what you mean. There are some outrageous headstocks.
Do you know what I mean? Like the first thing, like you just like raised an eyebrow. I was like, oh, whatever, dude. Like this is a weapon.
I love that you love it. Hey man, I love that you love it. This one to me for a long time, I was like, I don't know about that little hook, but I think it's cool. Yeah, I was, I gave gave him some crap about having the G and L, and the and is like a treble clef sign or a treble
before. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, come on, guys. But actually, it's sort of charming. I mean, I will say they gave me this bass. Like before, I'm like, I don't know about G&L. And they're like, here's a beautiful custom shop instrument. I'm like, actually. So take it with a grain of salt. I think, actually, I am excited to try this on some sessions. Like, I want to have this in a band context.
It doesn't look obnoxious. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look like a full fusion bass. It looks like, it looks cool. People will be like, oh, it's got like a retro vibe. Like Cass from Skunk and Nancy played one back in the day. Man, he kills.
It has like a rock and roll. Like, I want to get it in a context where
I think those pickups as well, like, I don't know, but like, I've seen a few videos where they just seem really versatile. I've seen a few, like, a shout out to Ed Friedland, who did some great videos. I think it was like a P100 or L1000. I am so terrible at names. Anyway, it was a letter and a number. And and he was like messing around with the pickups, and there was like, one of the modes is called OMG mode or something like that. And they seem really,
sure, yeah.
I think the
that's
pickups
probably... It's probably the front. It probably runs the pickups in series.
Maybe.
I believe.
I'm smiling because somebody's just going to be like, Allison.
I know, and Steve, if I'm getting all this stuff wrong, I'm so sorry. But I believe that's like the parallel mode, and then this is series. And it probably won't sound that much louder in the stream because, but it's smashing into my compressor.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
That would be sort of the like OMG mode. Kind of like boost bottom, boost mid-range, kind of top sits back, it gets louder.
Yeah.
But it's cool, man. It's like, I think for me, it needs to live inside of an ensemble situation. So I'm excited to get it out and gig it a little bit and check out how like it sits in a mix.
Does it balance okay? Because obviously
dude, yes. So everyone had talked about that. Like, check this out. I am not supporting it in any.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Now, when people have talked about, because this is a short thing here, that on a strap, like if you have it on a strap, that it has a little bit of dive. But man, seated, it's you kind of find the balance point. It's perfect. Like, it is not headstock heavy at all. And I don't mind. I mean, for a while I was playing a Gibson Thunderbird, and that has the most headstock heavy. I don't mind a little bit of dive. Like, I guess I sort of got used to it over the years.
I'm the same.
But no, I would say this is even like a very well balanced bass.
Yeah, sometimes on my F bass it's the other way, because they're
like body heavy.
Yeah, well, yeah, but they're kind of like made that way though. So it's kind of weird sometimes when I'm stood with it. I noticed that the other day.
Like, it goes up here, kind of.
I was like, I sit down a lot because I've had some like back problems over the years and stuff. But like, I do love when I can just to sort of like get up and stand with the bass and like rock it. And I was like, it was interesting to try and find, like, I've also got an F bass fretless, and that really goes like that because the horn's really sort of like way over the 12th fret. And what happens is when you're in the fusion zone, like, aka above the 12th fret, you kind of got to physically push the bass down a little bit to give you access without doing this.
Oh, sure.
So yeah, trying to figure that out at the minute. Just to shout out to Ibanez and them Gary Willis basses. I tell you, I have not played a bass that's more comfortable than that bass ever. It's the most comfortable bass ever.
Lil Willis incoming. Coming back.
There's some dude I fucking love. I can't remember his name. Every time I'm like, I put anything that sort of like has anything that has like that Willis bass on it, he'll just be like, Lil Willis in the comments on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, you got me. You got me. So if I get one of them basses, I'm gonna alter it. I'm gonna mess with it. because I can't.
You got to get Ibanez to make the big divine.
Oh my God, that would be freaking awesome.
Yeah,
a little divine and a little that'd be super cool. That'd be super cool, dude. Let's call it, man. Great. Hey, people, listen. If you when you were listening earlier when we were telling you about the Full Stack Bassist, go check it out. Go check it out. If any of that stuff resonated with you, if you feel like you sat there with a big old jumble of jigsaw pieces in front of you, shit that you've picked up from all over the internet and you have no idea what to do with that stuff, and it's actually, detracting from your bass playing in many ways and detracting from your motivation to play the bass, you should absolutely check out the Full Stack Bassist. You don't need to be stuck on that plateau.
Right.
That shouldn't happen, and it absolutely doesn't happen on all other instruments. It's actually, there's a whole conversation there in itself, but it happens to some instruments where people like when they get to that year 2 and 3, just kind of top out and they just don't get any better for life. So if you're feeling that, definitely check out the Full Stack Bassist program. It's fullstackbassist.com, I think. Lydia shot me the thing. Fullstackbassist.com. And go check it out. Remember, it's got a full year-long guarantee. So you can go through the program and then I'll shoot your money back if it doesn't rock your world. And it's in the description as well. Wicked, dude. Listen, until next time, don't buy any more basses.
Yeah, you neither.
Me too. See ya.